Our first presenter is Ms. Selyna Peiris, an attorney at law and also the director of the Selyna Foundation and creator of the Bleed Good movement, a multi-stakeholder collaborative platform to end period poverty in Sri Lanka. With a diverse and dynamic 15-year career, she's also the director of business development and next generation lead, Selyna Sri Lanka, a leading fair trade social enterprise in Sri Lanka. Through the Bleed Good movement, she has created significant strides in tackling period poverty through the development of a reusable menstrual pad, and she will be our first presenter.
So, thank you everyone. Thanks for having us at the Reprosex conference. So, I'll keep this brief and keep this concise so that we have more time during the end to discuss on the matters going ahead. So, Bleed Good is a movement that is created by the Selyna Foundation. And what we hope to do is really empower, educate and enable ecosystem to eradicate period poverty. So I will choose the next 5 to 10 minutes to really go through how we do that. But before we get to Bleed Good and what we do, I think it's important, especially when we are citizens trying to fight an issue that is faced especially by females in the country, to understand why we do what we do. So this is the context, but Selyna, which I also lead, is a social enterprise in the handloom textiles industry in Sri Lanka. Today is our 33rd birthday, so it's a kind of big legacy that I have to take on into the future. So during COVID, we realized, we faced a situation where 70% of our business was completely eradicated. And why that's important is because we serve and we work towards giving dignified, consistent income and livelihood opportunities for women. So when looking around, we thought, what is a product that can not just create that employment, but also solve a social issue? And absolutely the social issue during that time was the lack of access to affordable menstrual product. There were so many women in our communities, and when we looked around, 2.5 million women now in Sri Lanka live in period poverty. So how can we create sustainable, homegrown, locally driven, collaborative models to end this problem in Sri Lanka? Because if you look at 20 million, 2.5 is a percentage of that. And I think if, especially as females together with our allies, we can definitely solve this issue in Sri Lanka. And that is why Bleed Good was created. And in my introduction, I think, Rashi, you said co-created, and that's what it is. It is a co-creation. It is not a product of the Selyna Foundation. It is not something that we own. It is a collaborative platform that has come together with the different stakeholders, inviting the different stakeholders, create this transformative effort to end the problem in Sri Lanka. First, it started as a small project with a buy one, gift back kind of model. So every time we would sell product, we would gift back into the community. And in that way, we actually managed to also, with the assistance of donor funding, with various organizations who came together, really work on our own communities in Kurunegala, right? But then, of course, I'm ambitious and I don't want to stop in Kurunegala. And there were learnings and lessons that we learned, which we believed should be shared with the rest of the country and even globally. So while this kind of social enterprise model fuels the donation of the pad, from the outset, we were very clear that we will not do any donations for a photo opportunity. It was for the purpose of that transformative change. And that is where we looked. We found ARCA initiative. We worked with the FPA in certain instances. We worked with other organizations to really come together to give that menstrual hygiene, education and awareness while we donate. Actually, the donation is like a cherry on the cake situation, but 3 hours of Dr. Satyani mostly sitting with those women and talking to them about where their period comes from shouldn't be transformative in their lives, but it is. And that is the beauty of what this movement movement is about. And it is that combination of providing something that will ease their burden for a period of 2 years, but more so giving the education and awareness, which I believe is a truly, what I said, the homegrown sustainable solution that is Bleed Good. So we have worked in that way. Initially, we worked some refugee communities in the Nigambo area. Then, like I said, largely in Kurunagal area, we've worked with in schools, in rural schools, in temples where monks have opened the session. I think the first time we did it in a temple, I didn't expect the monk to come to open the session, but he did. And I don't think you remember, Satyani. And the mood was already, there was a authority that has said it's okay to talk about. It was one of the, I think, the most vibrant sessions that we had. And now we have worked in briefly in the plantation community, where we are learning that what is the best solution for them out there. We worked in orphanages, and we also hope to work in prisons. And largely, and we are open to collaborating with anyone who wants to work together with us to solve this problem in Sri Lanka and globally. I mean, I'm not going to preach to the choir here. You guys all know the problem. But if we talk about the first aspect of what we do, and that is the affordability element. So this product is in a sense, we donate a pack of 8, which is a 2-year solution for any one single individual. So the monthly the burden on their monthly spending is reduced. So of course, the donation, in the same time, we create jobs also in the Kurunegala district for the social enterprise, or rather within the social enterprise that we work in. And then in the education component, like I said, we work with organizations like ARCA to work on the to bestow that knowledge on menstrual hygiene and reproductive health. We worked with the Ministry of Health with the Suanari program in some instances, where we had given access to reproductive health clinics. There was times when people didn't even know what a pap smear was. There was a time when a 60-year-old unmarried woman was refused to given a pap smear. So I mean, these are then the points for advocacy that we learn, so that we can come back to Colombo, fight for this, right? And this is what the Bleed Good movement enables. We work with the grassroots trust, the child protection force, to use these sessions to raise awareness or to open discussions about gender-based violence. It's so interesting to see how the mood shifts from a largely cordial one to one of tension when we talk about gender-based violence in these communities. So this platform then becomes a space for people to come together. They of course get the pads, but they leave with networks and knowledge and helplines and numbers, and that is really the beauty of this. And that's where the enabling part comes together, that it is a platform of people who want to drive this change that are doing this together. So these are the partners that we worked with together. So we see as collaborators and visionary sponsors. I wanted to also show this to highlight the wonderful different kind of organizations who are part of this network. And this is some of our impact figures, and I will get to some of the learnings, which is the most important point in this session, that while we have consistently learned from the first pad we donated, we have asked our communities, does this work for you? If it doesn't work for you, why doesn't it work for you? Has the quality of your life improved? Are you satisfied with this? Is it leaking? Is it absorbing? Is it, what do you think of the education session? And we have consistently changed our model with every workshop to become better. And if I say we are there, we are absolutely not. We keep learning, and that is the point of what we are trying to do, right? And goes without showing that it's not only sometimes about the social part of what we are doing, but also the environmental impact that we are kind of eradicating by using the disposable pad, which is, I think, a whole different topic we might not have time to get into. But there is a requirement to talk about the environment and climate justice in the work that we do within the social sphere. So the learnings, I think when it comes to usage, first, I don't know what on earth, why I even did what I did. We first donated 2 pads. I mean, what can you do with pads, right? So eventually in the next session, we had then made 8 pads, a pack of 8 pads, and then that is a 2-year solution. And what we find in our communities is, while there is a bit of a hesitancy because it's not convenient to use the pad, easier to adopt because some of them are already using the cloth. And yes, I think in this session we can talk about the various different opinions and research on that as well. But we find it an easier adoption to perhaps say a cup, but not to say that there's a very valid reason to use a cup as well. And there are instances when that is the only option, right? But we found in the pad that there is an easier adoption, and some communities also need panties when we are distributing and then water detergent, some of it can be used as the reusable pad can be used during the light flow days. So it's a combination, and I quote Dr. Asanti when she constantly says it's cafeteria of needs. It's an option, it's choices. Let's not push one thing into our communities, right? So when it comes to the washing, it, yes, of course, requires a certain level of running water and mild detergent and soap, which is the pad that is kind of available at the moment, but we are innovating to kind of meet these demands. Then though thorough washing is essential, and education on care and care instructions are available in all three languages. So when we go into Tamil speaking communities, we have Tamil speakers and translators who are there in the community actually giving this knowledge. Then the drying, sun drying is recommended but challenging in densely populated and cold areas. So actually I wouldn't recommend perhaps this pad in a completely cold plantation. And I'll be the first to say that, because there should be a responsibility when we are doing these kinds. But then is it to say, no, the pad is bad for everything? No, it's to say, okay, we'll go back to the drawing board. What works for this community? How can we innovate? How can we create to give those solutions, right? And I think the main key lesson is that one pad does not all, and that's what I alluded to. Any solution has to have a range of reusable period products that are exposed to the communities. And because maybe it's too late at donation stage, you have to think before you donate what you need to donate, or how you need to do it. So this is where I think those of us in the room who are advocates and decision makers and donors and doctors and in the wide stakeholder group that is in this conference, we do need to go that extra mile to understand why we are doing what we are doing. And that is something that's very essential for all of us to come together to do. And like I already said, menstrual hygiene awareness is a crucial component. No distribution should happen without that awareness. And again, continuous learning is required in order to ensure that there's a sustainable solution. I'll be the last one who wants to end my life knowing that there is a pad that doesn't work in our communities, right? We are all female, we all bleed, we know how it feels. So the Bleed Good movement is really about understanding that there are different needs, there are different ways we flow, and that when we bleed, it has to be something indicative. So this pad, which is also in the stall outside, is tested to UNFPA specifications. We have been invited by the Sri Lanka Standards Institution to also, amongst other stakeholders, to drive standardization of this in Sri Lanka, which is very, very important. And it's going at a fantastic speed, which is wonderful to see. And we are hoping that by the end of this year, there will be a standard for this in Sri Lanka. And I think what I kind of want to say and end with is that whatever we do as stakeholders and citizens, we have to understand that we are serving a community. They are not just people and whatever on the ground, that we have to take this back and we have to go out of our way to give those correct solutions together. Thank you.